Hello and welcome back to the Overwatch Pacific Championship. I am Dallas Easy Fight. Today joining me here on the desk, Matt Smite Ross, also known as the official Pixie Cast. And
absolutely. I mean,
stellar moustache you've grown there in the break, mate.
Do you know how long it took me to grow this?
The grand total of about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but we are going to be seeing AHQ come up against DeToNator right here. And AHQ looking to set the tone here.
Big brand, globally even, between
big swag.
Games. And they're coming into a team that has just lost a best of 5. That's going to be pretty demoralizing for DeToNator. They're really going to have to bring themselves together. I think they absolutely can do it. We've seen them come back from worse. I think these guys are pretty hot right now.
AHQ or DeToNator?
Both teams. I mean, DeToNator will be hot eventually. They're a ticking time bomb.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, hey, they play Sun Sister tomorrow, so
that's the
one
game.
of those teams has to lose.
They got to get a win on the board at that point. But I mean, wow, look at that. Priest, do you want to do one of those? Wait.
What did they do?
How did they did like this or something? Oh, thank God the camera's not on us right now.
So we can do the Apuda heart later.
No, that's a bit questionable. So yeah, DeToNator coming off a 3-0 loss against Fireball just before, looking very good. I can see how Pixie likes this. You know, it's so luscious.
Really, it's really itchy.
Yeah,
for me.
I'm totally joking. Much prefer my less hard to maintain au natural.
Yeah, I like it. That's all right.
It's probably gonna make. I mean, well, not probably. I mean, hopefully, it's gonna make me cast better. You know, summon my inner Pixie. I feel.
Yeah, I mean, did you know on a broadcast if you wear a ginger moustache and say Pixie 3 times towards the camera, you actually summon him later on.
Well, we'll have to give that a go.
We'll do it at the end of the series.
Yeah, we'll do it at the end of the series, I feel. This is too much, I keep saying.
We'll get him on, don't worry, and we'll see what one of these will look like in all its natural glory. I mean...
I wonder if we've got one of these for him.
He can just borrow Kevin's.
Moustache on moustache.
That would not look any different.
Well, I mean,
because these are pretty much identical. These are literally cloned from Pixie's face, so... It would not look any different.
Do you reckon he saw the picture of these and were like,
what are they doing with my moustache?
Or maybe he was like, I'm going to grow that. I'm going to grow that moustache.
Yeah, which came first? The
chicken or the egg? The Pixie moustache or the
tape on
the
moustache?
news
I mean, the
moustache.
natural moustache that I grew myself. But hey.
Would have loved to seen Avril with one of these on there.
Yeah, I'm sure we will eventually. But do you know what else I'd love to see?
What's that?
This game coming up right now. This best of 5. AHQ coming up against DeToNator.GOLD. And honestly, Japan is not looking terribly strong right now. It's true. Like statistically, none of their teams have won a game. They've got 2 teams, DeToNator and Sun Sister. Both of them yet to pick up a best of 5. DeToNator up against Fireball previously. Fireball are lower on the table than AHQ are, and like, if you were just going off of that, then you'd say, if you're a betting man, that AHQ are just going to win this series as well. In fact, even better than Fireball would. But DeToNator.GOLD absolutely can come back. I just like to see them focus more on one single strategy, actually stick to it instead of trying to swap things around constantly in the middle of a match, in the middle of a checkpoint, and you're losing the ultimate advantage that you're ever going to have, and quite often they don't even have the ultimate advantage to begin with. So they need to find a strategy that works from the get-go rather than trying to find it during the game.
I mean, that is, I suppose, you know, what Overwatch is. You know, the more the hero pool depth you have, you know, the stronger your team is. But it's making those, I guess, those changes at the right times. You know, after you get your first objective that you are looking for, then you make those changes. I mean, it's really when your back's against the wall, which obviously it looks like DeToNator are pushed up very strongly against the wall in a lot of these games. They don't really have much room to work with, so they have to make those changes on the fly, and I think that's what's really sort of, you know, letting them down. They don't even get the ultimate advantage to begin with, and I mean, even if they do have a slight lead, you know, they still find themselves changing. I mean, I think it was on Volsky, they made a 4-man swap at one point.
Yeah,
and I mean,
it
that's
was a completely different team
hasty
composition as well, and like you can see the logic behind it. You're saying this composition is not going to work against Fireball, but the fact is they did that change way too late. They need to start recognizing it earlier.
Well, I mean, taking a look at the AHQ roster here, I feel like DeToNator is going to have a very hard time coming up against Dizzy. You know, he was an insane performer last week, and I mean, Rocket, who was, I guess, the support player from the side of Fireball, was definitely sort of being the standout tank there. And I mean, coming up against the likes of Lazy Titan and Eric as well, you know, it's going to be extremely difficult for the side of DeToNator to even get past the tank.
And not to mention,
play, let alone the DPS play. And I mean,
your boy Crappy.
The boy Crappy indeed. You know, whether he's busting a Torbjorn or a Lucio, it's a very big sort of ask to deal with that.
It's such a strange hero pool to have. Like, if before Overwatch was released and I asked you, like, oh, who do you think the support players are going to swap between? And it's like, oh, Lucio and Torbjorn. Like, who would have thought that would be a hero pool of a professional player? But there it is, MC Crappy himself. Where did the MC come from? Did you just throw it on his name?
So like the MC Crappy came from his first interview, and he picks up the microphone, and you know everyone else is quite, yes, hello. And then MC Crappy's like, yo, 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 young crowd, what up, my boy? You know, like...
That's fantastic.
It looks like he's about to bust a rhyme, and I mean, he drinks his drink bottle as well, and you know, everyone else might just drink their drink bottle normally, and he's just like...
And it makes it easy because he plays Lucio all the time, so he's naturally an MC anyway.
You know, DJ MC Crappy, I don't know what we're going to go with that one, but hopefully he does manage to drop the bass in this game.
It'll happen. It'll happen for sure, especially if he's running Torbjorn. Like, I fully expect him to just, like, it'll be play of the game, and he'll be sitting in the corner, like, banging his hammer to the beat, creating an entirely new song, and it'll be on Hollywood, I bet. I'm predicting a Hollywood for map number 2, even though that's DeToNator's pick. I reckon they'll pick Hollywood, and we get to see Torbjorn.
Well, AHQ are playing as the home team coming into this one. They are playing back-to-back matches here as well, and they are playing
AHQ. Well, so are AHQ, yeah.
And AHQ are home team both times as well. Next matchup's going to be against Machi Esports, so see if this is going to be a little bit of a warm-up for AHQ, or if DeToNator can get them sweating.
Yeah, I mean, DeToNator, I mean, we've talked about it quite a lot, how it's going to be a really hard matchup for them. It's harder than the matchup that they already lost 3-0 to. So they're going to have to pull out all the stops. So really, it is all about AHQ in this matchup. And like you said, is it going to be a warm-up for their more anticipated matchup against Machi Esports? Or, like you said, will DeToNator actually make them put on a lot of effort? If they go to Game 5, that can be really tiring going into the next series.
I mean, looking at the side of DeToNator, De La Vie having quite a how should I put this? Good matchup against Fireball, I'd say. And Saihate though having a bit of a struggle keeping himself alive. So I think
it's like he's got a big target painted on his back. Honestly, like all the diving heroes, I love to go and target him. And then now that they're not up against NZNR this time, but Dizzy himself, he'll be going into the backline incredibly hard, trying to find Saihate, taking him out of the fight, or at least out of position. That's a really tough call to ask Saihate to stay alive during that.
Yeah, I mean, Yoshiharu is definitely going to have to try to keep him alive there, same as Samurai D as well. I think if they can work better at sort of peeling the players off Saihate, I mean, Saihate, oh, there we go. Give us a smile, mate. Looking happy there in the DeToNator.GOLD camp.
And that's, like you said before, after Fireball's won and how happy they looked. It is really important to stay morally focused, keeping your morale up, not morally focused, keeping your morale up, being happy, enjoying yourself, making sure that the results aren't getting to you, because if you come off the back of a best of 5 and you've lost every game, it can be very easy to just sit there saying like, oh, now we're going up against a harder team. How are we going to win this? There's a live crowd. They've got the home advantage and the literal home advantage with the crowd behind them as well. It can be very easy to be demoralized against that, but the smiles on their face tell a different story. I mean, that's the kind of result you need in live esports.
You know, if we're from New Zealand, you know, like Tilt Kings of the world pretty much, you know. Whereas they're from Japan, you know. I'm not saying I can read into their minds there, but I feel like they're a lot more composed than I guess a lot of our. Well, I know I'm speaking from personal experience here. You know, I can go.
And your solo queue?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just solo queue. Good joke. Solo queue.
Oh yeah. But I mean, like you talk about New Zealand.
Who solo queues? Nobody solo queues. Let's be honest.
You talk about New Zealand Tilt. I mean, we're sitting literally at number 32 on the World Cup rankings, and
come on, boys.
Blizzard are only taking the top 32 teams. So if we drop one ranking, we're out of there. So I'm really praying for us to stay there. Maybe bump up a few ranks as well. I think the Czech Republic is actually just below us, trying to sneak in and take away our glory.
I just mean from some of those earlier interviews we saw coming up from the Japanese teams, you know, their mindset and their sort of ability to keep themselves composed, you know, sort of always looking to improve. I guess, you know, coming off losses, especially the amount of losses they've had, I think that really sort of plays into one of their strengths there. You know, the resolve of these Japanese teams. You know, you coming in week in, week out, trying to sort of elevate your game, you know, match these other teams who are improving, I'd say, at a much more rapid pace.
Both of the Japanese teams actually talk about how one of the biggest strengths they have is how they're all very close, like friendship-wise, they're all very good friends, especially for Sun Sister, whose team quotas are literally the power of friendship. DeToNator channel a little bit of that as well. So that's something that they bring to the table, and it's pretty hard to translate that into raw results in an Overwatch tournament because you actually do still have to bring skill and strategy and leadership and all that good stuff to actually win a game. But the fact is, they're still smiling after losing, and that shows that they at least are not going to be demoralized by heavy losses like that, and that the power of friendship does actually bring something to these games.
Indeed it does. I keep looking at this moustache thinking, I wish I could actually grow my moustache this thick now, actually. I think this would be, I mean, we're a little crooked here, but I feel this is the go. Oh, thank you.
There you go. I think I made it worse.
Yeah. It's hard to stick it on top of my already existing flimsy girl moustache now at this point. I feel totally outdone by Pixie.
I mean, I don't even have one underneath this. I mean, this is completely natural. I grew it like literally in the break 5 minutes ago. So, hey, look, I can grow one. I'm sure you can do it if you channel enough effort, and then you won't have to use the tape on moustache.
Oh, we'll wait for Movember, that's for sure. Going clean shaven for the first time in 5 years. Unlikely. No, it's actually happening there. But first map, AHQ going to be picking Nepal. Nepal. You're good Nepal. Best pals. With the power of friendship, Nepals.
Yeah, you can see why would AHQ pick Nepal against the guys who literally use one of their strengths as being good pals together. It's pretty weird decision. But in any case, let's actually talk about Nepal and what can be done on it. A lot of these matches where we even see teams that like you really expect one team to like just fully 3-0 the other team. Particularly a good example being the last series where Fireball was playing DeToNator, and they actually did 3-0. They still went to a 5th match on the very first round on Ilios. So a lot of these teams are producing good results on control maps. So I do expect that we could go to a 4th, maybe even 5th round on Nepal here. So it's going to be all about what DeToNator need to do. I think, again, it's going to come back to not swapping in the middle of these rounds, not trying to just completely change your composition. Yes, it worked a few times against Fireball, but I really doubt that's going to work against AHQ, who are honestly much better on the ultimate macro cycles than Fireball have got to be. Fireball outfragged DeToNator, and that's a lot of how they actually won. But AHQ will run you the race in macro, and they will use their ultimates against you. And when you're swapping your composition up in the middle of a control round, that is where they get a huge advantage. So again, yes, it sometimes can work with DeToNator, but if you want to win 3 maps on Nepal, you need to pick a good composition from the start.
The other thing as well is this is what we sort of talked about with Fireball. They really they had far better positioning than DeToNator. I mean, their mechanical skill I felt was slightly, ahead as well. But even being outpositioned by Fireball, coming up against a team like AHQ, which is I feel slightly more polished, coming into this one, and Nepal, a lot of these maps are really, I guess, really won and lost around the positioning on a lot of these. And I feel that this is where AHQ are really going to be able to take it to DeToNator, because I feel like they're going to be able to outposition them, regardless of better hero composition or not.
Yeah, something that DeToNator also struggled on against Fireball is that positioning. Just honestly, supports constantly caught out by flankers and even giant monkey scientists as well, coming up from Rocket. Constantly caught out, constantly shoved into unfavorable positions, if not straight out killed, is something that DeToNator are going to have to work on. It's honestly going to be the question of not just trying to outfrag AHQ this time, but also trying to work up to their macro play as well, because that's a strength that AHQ are going to bring that Fireball may not have even needed to use in their matchup.
Well, I mean, that was something that it took Fireball a long time to sort of get that rolling. Their, their macro play, they were definitely, I'd say, behind even DeToNator at the start of it as well. DeToNator very good at actually, playing that macro game. So coming into this one, I think that's going to be one of their biggest strengths. That's going to give them the edge. But I mean, getting into this one, they're going to be having to deal with, some of these big standout tank players. Kalman, very flexible player as well. And there we see the triple tank lineup here coming out from the side of AHQ.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty interesting one. Hopefully it's going to work out.
Same thing for DeToNator as well.
Both teams like to go from that top, so you do need a big brawling composition to go into it, and then you're in this tight space down here, which is still quite open, really good for roadblock hooks, but these Reinhardts are going to be constantly blocking them. It's really going to be about how Samurai D keeps his shield up and stops any hooks coming up from Cowman.
Oh, MC Crappy almost dropping down low in the background as well. both of these teams managing to drop each other down to extremely low HPs. Yoshiharu actually getting some amazing shields to start this one off, getting a lot of charge there, managing to take down Kalman. But now AHQ answer back with 4 kills of their own right now. Make that 6, make that a wipe almost there. Anakin just running away with his tail between his legs, and AHQ going to be picking the first cap up very convincingly.
And a lot of, no one from DeToNator was really contesting Dizzy, because look at their composition. How are they meant to do that? They don't have any flankers. They don't even have a Winston to get into the backline. So Dizzy is free to sit in the backline, and Anakin up against the Reinhardt shield is not able to do the full DPS that a McCree can actually do. Now he does have Deadeye, does have a nano boost to combo with it, but there's no real strong position if the fight is forced on this side.
Nice charge there by Samurai D to start this one off. They managed to take down Eric there, so that's going to be an extremely good start here for DeToNator. Sound barrier coming in from both sides as well. Anakin trying to find these shots here up onto Crappy in the back lines. Can't manage to take him down. Yoshi got that Graviton Surge to work with as well, and this Earth Shatter here. So it looks like DeToNator coming back in, managing to cap the point out. Extremely good fight for them coming through that one. Only committing the 2 support ultimates for that.
Also throwing in a Deadeye as well, and I want to talk about why we didn't actually see that on the kill feed there, and it was because Crappy threw out the sound barrier, which was completely nullified. It was a nano boosted Deadeye, which didn't get any kills, but completely broke down the sound barrier, which allowed the rest of his team to start steamrolling through. Now DeToNator have a Graviton. This is all they should be looking to use in this next fight, to stabilize, bring their own team's ultimates back up, because that's what you can do, and trying to get frag kills here, which they've already got onto Kalman.
Yeah, and Kalman being taken out there as well. Crappy being the better Lucio here, and they are just finding so many kills right now. Dizzy coming in with that Nano Visor combo. The Graviton Surge being waited on, I'd say, a little bit too long there, and AHQ fighting back. 50% for DeToNator, but now AHQ in control of the point, looking to catch them extremely quickly here. See how DeToNator can work with these ultimates that are up right now. They've got 3, make that almost 4 there. They do have the Graviton self-destruct combo, so it will be interesting if they do contest for that high ground.
Yeah, we're going to see if they actually do want to use a combo with the Graviton Surge. Yes, it will get you a team wipe, but that's a lot of resources that are going to be used, and AHQ only used 2 ultimates to capture the point. Dizzy's going to be moving his ult up. There goes the self-destruct. It's already gone.
And it finds Yoshi as well, and look at this. AHQ, great preemptive play here, not letting any of these ultimates come up from the side of DeToNator. Now they are indeed ahead, 57% for them, and DeToNator not using anything in that fight, looking to come in with a big death combo indeed into this next fight. But it's going to need to happen now. AHQ do have a little bit to work with to push this offense off as well.
I mean, as a first fight leading up to this last fight, that's pretty good. You use no ultimates of your own, you forced out an ultimate from AHQ, so now they're in a little bit better of a position moving into this next fight, but they have to throw everything on the table here.
Oh, and Samurai D hitting that Earth Shatter through the Graviton Surge, but with the rest of their team just getting absolutely demolished, trying to charge the D.Va off the edge of the map there. But I mean, Samurai D has realized the rest of his team's out.
Yeah.
They need to reset this one. 90% on the clock here for AHQ, and I mean, DeToNator are running out of time.
Sorry, I got a little bit caught up there thinking Reinhardt actually literally jumped off the edge by accident there, but in any case, you're right, DeToNator have a lot to ask here, but AHQ just have all the tools, they're going to throw it straight at them, and this should be enough. Anakin not going to find anything, but they capped it! They capped it in the background.
Sneaky beaky like right there, and Crappy getting taken out by Anakin up here on the high ground. Doesn't have much support with him there, so we should see him dropping as well. Dizzy going to be using the tactical visor there just to pick up a couple of last kills, but it looks like Anakin did manage to take himself down a lazy Titan, but Dizzy all over this kill feed, and AHQ all over this point and all over this first map, picking up the first one very convincingly there towards the end. Currently 1-0.
That sneaky cap is a good thing to do in the middle of the game, not when you're in overtime, not when the next fight decides which team is going to win this map. And the fact is, you cap the point, sure, you go from 50% to 60%, but the rest of your team is dead. You're in a bad position because you wasted Deadeye just trying to zone people out, not actually finding any kills. And because of that, you got, what, 2 people on the point when the rest of your team is dead, and sure, you're going to get a few extra percentages, and that would have been great if AHQ was sitting at 50% themselves, because then you could have reset, come back in, and you've bought a few more percentage, stolen some off them. But instead, being at the end of the fight, AHQ are just going to recap and win the game.
Exactly that. I mean, your team split up there, and I mean, you lose your front line. The back line's not going to stay alive for much longer. But now a little bit of a change up in composition here for the side, for both sides, for DeToNator actually, going back to that sort of dive composition that was working out Much better for them, I'd say. Still running the triple tank line up there for the side of AHQ.
Yeah, theoretically, this should be in DeToNator's favor here. Their flankers can just run circles around Calman and Eric N, and I think they're starting to realize that they've got to back off.
And they do find that early kill there onto Calman. Samurai D leaping all over him indeed. And now Dizzy dropping very low, same with Kirez, and Kirez gets taken down as well. DeToNator now opening this one up. A couple of kills there for Eric, finds that fire strike and big swing onto Yoshi, but will it be enough here as he's still up in the front lines, getting a lot of work done here with his counterpart Diva holding onto this one, but should be DeToNator picking up the first cap.
Yeah, but it took a little bit more effort than it really should have. 3 tanks, that's a lot of hit points for the flankers to actually get through, especially when you're targeting out Calman first on that Roadhog. But here's the Dragon Blade.
But that counter sound barrier now coming in from the side of AHQ might be able to keep them alive through this one. Calman getting taken out of this one very early on again as well. Samurai D now up in the back line, self-destruct coming through as well right there, but doesn't find anything with that one. Samurai D now going to be hitting the Primal Rage, looking to get something done here. Dodoloff does have that sound barrier to use, and he does commit it for DeToNator right now, looking to come out on top of this one. They do manage to get themselves the first cap finally after about 3 minutes into the first
hang on,
map.
they're turning it around.
And Dizzy though, and that's the big issue you've got to deal with. Now there it is, Samurai D jumping onto him, finally dealing with him, but maybe it's just that little bit too late as he eats the hammer there from Eric, and AHQ come charging up the steps and recap this point before DeToNator even get 20%.
Yeah, quite a lot of ultimates used by both sides there actually. AHQ don't have a huge amount to work with here. Who are you going to throw the nano boost on? Most likely going to be the Reinhardt to try and get that guaranteed damage, but he has to be in close range. No Earth Shatter for him to actually get that guaranteed damage either. Are you going to throw it onto Dizzy? He doesn't have his ultimate. It's still sometimes a good idea to throw it onto a soldier, but only if they're very accurate, only if the targets are available to actually
big
hit.
hook there, opens it up, takes down De La V. DeToNator need to fall back out of this fight without their Tracer. I feel like this is an almost unwinnable situation for them as Eric takes down Saihate there as well. So a little bit of a misplay here coming out from the side of DeToNator. Not really on top of their communication, and they get absolutely cleaned up there and feed so much charge to the side of AHQ.
They also use self-destruct in that, so not only was it a fight that they lost from the start because of that pick, but they also lost in the, oh no, actually self-destruct wasn't used, I'm just a big liar, but in any case, instead of going in, they should have backed off, like you said, instead of feeding off even more ultimate charge, because AHQ didn't use any of their ults of their own, and now they're sitting at 5 ultimates, Dizzy not too far from his one to bring it up to 6, and they're sitting at 50%. They can very easily just hold this point using a few ultimates every single fight, but not if they lose Karis.
Yoshi finds one there, sound barrier now coming in for the side of AHQ to push them through this one. Anakin eats the fire strike there as well, gets taken out. Tac Visor coming in from Dizzy. Finally they are contesting him completely, but look at that, this peel coming in now from the rest of the AHQ side. Easily deal with this offense coming in from DeToNator, and now time is running out, 75% on the cap for AHQ.
AHQ as well, with those few kills at the very start of that fight, realized, look guys, we don't have to use too many ults, throw out a sound barrier, hey Dizzy, use your Tac Visor as well. Exactly right, they only use 2. Now they've got so much to work with. A nano boost on a Reinhardt, if he hits this Earth Shatter, is going to do so much damage. And now look at this, DeToNator changing the combat once more, Samurai D on the Reinhardt.
Oh, and the Earth Shatter does come through there, nano boost going to be hit onto the Reinhardt as well. Anakin finally takes Dizzy down in the back lines, but can he find anyone else here? It needs to come up, he needs to see red, and indeed we are finally seeing the nano boost now come onto Anakin, manages to take down Eric as well, almost dropping himself right there, takes down Karez. Anakin putting DeToNator on his shoulders right now, taking Crappy out here as well, looking to find themselves a Lazy Titan. He's trying to retreat back to the rest of his team there, and DeToNator keeping themselves alive. They get control of the point just in the nick of time.
And that was in a fight where AHQ saw that this was the final moment. We can throw all of our ultimates out and just win the map, but DeToNator come back with Anakin going absolutely huge. He uses ult so early on in that fight that now it's already almost 80% of the way there. He'll have it for this next fight. AHQ need to go now to get any time without Anakin on his ult. There will be no nano boost, but we've seen him do a lot of work with that one.
Oh, good sleep there onto Lazy Titan as well. Anakin with the blade takes 2 down now, finds Eric and Dizzy here, looking to take the mech out as well of Lazy Titan. Good job from him to just keep Anakin's sights targeted on him. Just going to suicide himself off and go for the reset. Now DeToNator looking in control right here. Got a lot of ultimates to work with as well. Going to be resetting AHQ.
Oh, nano boost.
Oh, eating the Earth Shatter as well. A little bit of mix-up communication here on the side of AHQ, and they have committed far too much here and got nothing out of it.
Going in there, it looked like AHQ were looking to punish DeToNator and their overextension, but all of DeToNator were there. They had their own Reinhardt to block any potential Earth Shatter, and throwing a nano boost on to Eric N as well. He didn't connect his Earth Shatter, in fact, didn't even use it. There was no hope of them winning the fight. I think he was looking for a miracle there, but you should not be fishing for miracles when you only need to win one more fight, but they're running out of time.
Yeah, don't go chasing waterfalls AHQ right now. Go chasing some kills on DeToNator's side. They do have that nano boost to work with, but AHQ do have a lot more in the bank for
Already
them
one
here.
kill.
Oh my goodness, and he gets taken down there as well. And now Samurai D not finding anything with this one, but Dizzy out in the back lines. They do manage to jump straight on top of him, and DeToNator have worked it out now. They know if they take down Dizzy, they can clean up the rest of the side. Sound barrier being used on the side of DeToNator as well. 98% AHQ in panic mode right now. Need to get themselves back on the point. Another Dragon Blade here coming in from Anakin, slicing Kira's apart there as well. And this looks like DeToNator might be able to take this one out.
Yeah, they just need to clean up a few more kills, but they have actually lost a few members in this fight. It's still anyone's game here.
And the tank play there coming in from AHQ, managing to keep themselves alive there, and this is what's letting them down now.
Blocked.
Oh, great block there from Eric to stop that Earth Shatter coming through. Good charge there onto Kalman, but it won't be enough there. They only managed to find a couple, and as the rest of the AHQ players are now falling back in here, this is going to be a frantic overtime. Nano Boost coming in onto Lazy Titan. And DeToNator, they get it. Lazy Titan gets pushed off the point, and that's going to be it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a series on our hands. DeToNator pulled it out. They changed their composition up in the middle of the fight. And honestly, I've got to say that the final moments there, just on the cusp of victory for AHQ, Anakin pulled out a miracle. He threw out Dragon Blade. It actually ended, and then he got the nano boost and cleaned everyone else up. I think he got more kills after his Dragon Blade actually ended. Just from the threat of that ultimate. Everyone's running for cover and actually walking into enemy tanks, and then in the end, Anakin himself. That really saved the game for them there, but the way DeToNator held onto that really shows promise for what they can do. And someone I've got to give credit to, Yoshiharu on that Diva is always the answer to Dizzy's Soldier. Can he do the same thing against the McCree though?
See the resolve of these Japanese teams coming through right there. You know, not giving up when it looks like all the odds were against them there. Just no way. Oh, gets eaten instantly there. Good job there for Lazy Titan as they try to get a good position. Indeed, they do. They get the corner to work on the side of DeToNator right now. Eric, look at this. DeToNator forcing AHQ into a very aggressive sort of first fight here. DeToNator could make them pay with their lives indeed. Shield now has been dropped down. Eats the charge.
2D.
Eric very low, but that's going to be too far for the side of DeToNator. But 2 kills apiece here. But Dizzy going very uncontested as well up in the back. Finding that kill onto Sai Hate, but they still have Kira's on the side of AHQ. And with that Ana, that's going to be Anakin getting taken down as well. Yoshiharu going to be with no support here on the point. He's going to be taken out as well. And AHQ, just a little bit more polished team play, they're going to be picking up the first cap.
And that fight went on for so long that AHQ are actually able to rack up quite a lot of ultimates. They've now got the Nano Deadeye combo if they want to use it. That's a huge amount of zoning potential when you're coming out of these two very tight choke points. It's going to be very hard to dodge what Anakin actually, what Dizzy can actually bring with that Deadeye.
Well, Anakin dropping his Deadeye here with no boost, not needed here. But the rest of his team are getting destroyed, and him himself as well, right in the doorway. And the tank plays again. Lazy Titan and Eric N just cleaning this choke point up indeed, and Anakin getting absolutely nothing out of that Deadeye.
And the game of Reinhardt Chicken actually becomes very different when both sides, or even one side actually, are running McCree, because that flashbang over your shield can drop it for that small split second. That is all the enemy Reinhardt needs to throw out the Earth Shatter, and that is exactly what Samurai D is looking for.
Charge up into the sky there, but Kalman hitting the whole hog and wholeheartedly destroying DeToNator's attack here, forcing them right back into the spawn yet again.
Look at this guy.
Positioning there from him, and look at the aggressiveness here from AHQ. They were, I feel like they're a little bit angry about this last matchup here, and they really are trying to stick it to DeToNator right here.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to try and find some different ways around. A sneaky Graviton could be all that they need, and I think Yoshiharu is actually looking for that. AHQ, though, have recognized it, backed off to the small room on the right-hand side, and they're actually going in.
Big hook coming through there, almost taking down Yoshiharu, and indeed the Biotic Grenade. Do they find the kill, though? Yoshiharu getting away with his life. Sound Barrier as well coming in for the side of DeToNator. Samurai D was the one to fall down, though. He did actually drop the Graviton Surge there. I believe it got eaten. Lazy Titan is indeed a hungry man, eating up everything that DeToNator can throw at them right now. Eric, though, not even scared, is going to eat those headshots, and he doesn't even care. They're right back up into the choke point hold again, baiting those ultimates
They
out
can't
from
wait.
the side of
They
DeToNator.
have to go now.
And 93%, this is
Oh,
going to be
boy.
it. Double Deadeye on the 2 tanks there. That's what they needed indeed. Sound barrier coming in for AHQ, keeping a few of these players alive. Kyrie's picking that kill up onto Anakin. Now Dizzy all over the point, keeping this one alive. Got the nano boost. Doesn't even need the Deadeye right there. Finds that shot onto Dodloff. And a second one there as well.
He just doesn't miss.
And there we Flashbang coming through there as well. Another Deadeye in hand. Look at this, looking to take down another one here. Sayhata actually taking down Lazy Titan's mech. But is it going to be enough when AHQ are all over this? Dizzy on an absolute blinder right now, doing so much work to push the rest of DeToNator away, and AHQ pick up their second map, leading the series 2-1.
Wow, what a critical fight. Just the second last one there where the Graviton was eaten. That was the tool that DeToNator needed to come back into that game. They needed that fight to charge up all their ultimates, or at the very least get a team wipe so they could capture the point and then stabilize. But Graviton just got eaten. They didn't have any advantage from that, and I feel like they were ready for Graviton, but they weren't ready for being hooked. They weren't ready for there to not be a Graviton surge, and suddenly, once they realized it, AHQ just turned it around on them, went incredibly offensive, right back up to the wall, and even with the flank, they could not find the winning team fight there.
I see all smiles on Dizzy as well. He's going to be happy with his final little bit of McCree performance on the point there, just absolutely cleaning house as well. I mean, Carez as well didn't really, you don't really get to see it from his point of view, but he's doing a lot of work there as well.
Different composition this time from DeToNator, going the dive straight away, and they're going really, really aggressive here into this tight spot.
Really like to see that coming up from them, a nice change up. They do look like they have gained quite a bit of better position now, but they've got to watch themselves on the flank as that hook comes in as well, almost managing to open in that one up for the side of AHQ, but they make Kalman pay for that one. Anakin finding that early kill, 72% as well, getting very close to that blade, and AHQ are dropping very low right now. Dizzy finds one kill there onto Anakin, being pushed back here by the likes of Samurai D, and DeToNator should be able to gain position and gain first cap right now.
And I like this composition. DeToNator picking up something that will work against what AHQ brought last time we were on this map. The divers, Genji and Tracer, can just dance circles around both Roadhog and Reinhardt, and even to a point Lazy Titan, who can just fly around holding right click and hoping for the best. And that's exactly how they won that point. Will AHQ start to change things up, or will they brute force onto the point?
Well, trying to brute force the Angry Monkey right now, not working out in their favor. 3 kills quickly in the way of DeToNator again. Kalman finding himself a little trade here. Eric going to be the last one left on the point. But I mean, DeToNator not committing too much to that one at all. Just the Primal Rage and clean that fight up very simply indeed. Look at the matchup between these two teams here. Very neck and neck.
And that's the point that AHQ wanted to bait out a few ultimates. And now, yes, they got the Primal Rage, but what Primal Rage did was deny them a lot of opportunity to get any frag kills in their charge up ults of their own. So instead, they're now going to be sitting on the back foot. DeToNator well ahead. Anakin will have that Nanoblade combo and should be able to absolutely destroy AHQ.
Well, he comes in with the Nano Boost as well, but Carrer's going to be taking out De La V right there. Self-destruct coming in as well, and AHQ with a huge counterplay here, not even having to commit the tactical visor just yet, and they are just wiping up these players on the side of DeToNator. Dragon Blade Nano Boost coming in and doing absolutely nothing for them there.
They nullified it with a single ability. All they had to do was get Karis to push shift, they put him to sleep, and suddenly that is 2 huge ultimates gone for DeToNator. They lose the fight, they put a lot of resources into it, and AHQ didn't need to use a lot of their own. Yes, they're going to be sitting there charging up their ults now, but like you said, they've now got the Nano Visor combo. That's fine for holding this point.
And I mean, Kalman makes that switch up to Zarya as well, so they have a little bit more survivability, I feel, rather than going for that pick-orientated sort of Roadhog play that they were looking for. But DeToNator got themselves up to 69%. They are trying to get straight back onto the point, force the side of AHQ down onto the point to bring the fight to them. But there comes the Nano Visor combo on Dizzy there. It gets a little bit of it reflected back to him, trying to take out Anakin. Great Helix Rocket there, judging the charge instantly right there. And now this is definitely going to be coming up in the way of AHQ. They are just wiping DeToNator out here on their offense. Samurai D going to have to suicide into this one. AHQ hot on their heels.
They've got time. DeToNator have time. It's still only 45% for AHQ. DeToNator still are racking up those ultimates. AHQ actually just used the Nano Visor combo, which means DeToNator have a good chance to come into this next fight. Anakin unfortunately doesn't have Dragon Blade, but look at what else they do have. They do have Pulse Bomb. That alone can win a fight, just getting a pick at the start. Get De La V into the backline, get a kill on Dizzy, get a kill on Karis. Even without their ultimates, they're still a big threat, and taking them out at the start of the fight can win you the point and also allow you to not need to use any ultimates.
Oh, there comes the Pulse Bomb. Doesn't find anything. Good shield as well, just to make sure nothing's going to happen from that. And Eric, such an aggressive Reinhardt player here, just swinging the hammer indeed. Dizzy finding that kill onto De La V. So now, without him in the back lines there, DeToNator going to be hard-pressed to find some kills into this one. Dizzy finding a second, make that a third as well. Kalman going to be taking the mech out on the D.Va.
He needs to just die.
And this is all just AHQ. Not even worried there. Anakin, good retreat as well, keeping himself alive there. They do have themselves 5 ultimates to work with, 91% on the board. This is going to be the last fight.
Sound barrier combined with the nanoblade combo will allow Anakin to actually survive through Dizzy's tactical visor. But as you can see, Karis still running back to the point. They don't have a lot of time.
And Anakin gets the nano boost right now. Here comes the Dragon Blade jumping straight onto Dizzy. Dizzy, great job at kiting him right there, finding the kill onto Anakin. And there comes that Graviton Surge from the likes of Kalman as well. A little bit of delay there on the point. And this is just going to be cleanup crew here from Dizzy. Get the broom out, my friend. He is going to be wiping up the rest of DeToNator. And AHQ closes this one out 3-1.
DeToNator showed a little bit of promise, especially on the map that they actually took. On the second one, I believe it was Shrine. And I mean, they gave it a good fight, and in fact, they gave it a good fight against Fireball, but hey, the results speak for themselves. 3-1 this time instead of 3-2. DeToNator still not looking to match up to some of these teams that are a little bit higher up the table than they are.
I mean, this is what I was talking about. Oh, that's the Earth Shatter we missed there, and he absolutely shattered the hopes of DeToNator there. Just found 4 through that one. Insane plays there coming up from Eric.
Yeah, I mean, hitting those Earth Shatters are definitely securing a lot of fights as well, but by the way, my moustache is.
I was about to be like,
I shaved.
Give you a quick shave there in between these games.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you've got to keep your appearance up. I mean, come on, that's got to go. It's got to go.
I'm not pulling it off. It hurts. It hurts so much.
Is that why Pixie never shaves his moustache?
Well, I'm telling you from a bearded man. You know, it can hurt. You know, sometimes like it's. You know, it's a tough life having that facial hair. You know, giving it a bit of a yank.
That's why I couldn't handle it. I had to shave it during the game. I mean, it was hard, honestly, like trying to shave and cast at the same time. I mean, I wasn't listening to you half the time.
I don't expect you to listen to me at all.
I probably should bring up a lot of good points, but in any case, that's going to be DeToNator.GOLD unable to take out the first map. AHQ, almost as expected, taking out the first map, but at the same time, losing one of the maps over to DeToNator, especially on the map that they picked on the poll. Pretty interesting. I mean, DeToNator can definitely come back. They brought it up against Fireball, but once we left control, it's where DeToNator started to slip away from Fireball in the first series. Now, in this series against AHQ, is the same thing going to happen? They get picked on this next map, which will be a hybrid one, but even on their own pick, even on Numbani, they couldn't do it against Fireball. It was kind of close, but Fireball definitely outclassed them a lot more than they did on Control. So we'll see if AHQ can do the same thing, take it to them on their home turf. Once more as well, like literally home turf. They're in Taiwan, and the crowd is going to be cheering for AHQ.
Well, I mean, we're looking to obviously see if, I guess, I want to see obviously if Crap is going to go with this Torbjorn here when they do set up on the defense, and how, I guess, DeToNator can really deal with that. You know, they have, Anakin's Farah, you know, looked to be, I suppose, quite strong in the first matchup against Fireball in map number 1, but I mean, coming off the back of that, it was not too much, you know, not too much usage from there. So I mean, they're gonna have to come up with something new, you know, to deal with the Torbjorn turret. And I guess we've seen now, I talked about this before the matchup, you know, the tank play coming in from, you know, Eric and Lazy Titan. Lazy Titan ate himself a Graviton Surge there. I mean, you know, Fire Strikes. I mean, okay, that's easy game. That's nothing to rave on about.
It's par for the course.
Yeah, you know.
Eating Gravitons.
But I mean, eating the Gravitons, you know what I mean? Like Lazy Titan's just a hungry man. And I don't really see how they can really get into the back lines with I just guess the synergy between these two tank players.
Credit to Yoshi, and I've also seen him do this exact same thing, predicting a Graviton. So, I mean, Lazy Titan, not the only one that can eat Graviton Surges. Yoshiharu does it as well, and he very intentionally does it. Quite often you see divas will be holding right click, using that defense matrix just as a general defense thing, and Graviton will accidentally go into it. A lot of it is reactionary, but every time Yoshiharu does it, it's very, very intentional. He will literally fly straight towards his Zarya player, knowing that they have Graviton, and will eat it up. Will not allow it to come to the table.
He will eat you up.
But will he eat you up?
We'll see. We'll see how that one.
I mean, eat you up does play soldier, so
we'll see how that one plays out. I don't think he really ate them up last time they came up against each other. But
he didn't eat up anyone in this game either. I mean, he
actually did. He actually did.
He did shut down Dizzy a few times.
No, I was just talking about he actually did get quite a good few blocks in their first sort of run-in with Blank. But the other thing was, DeToNator, you know, they had one moment of sort of like, you know, real aggressiveness, you know, there on I believe it was
Shrine?
Shrine,
Yep.
and they got, you know, all the way up in the faces of AHQ, and AHQ are a bit like, whoa, whoa,
I mean, look,
whoa,
look at
what are
how
you doing?
look at how the results went on a lot of the maps, right? DeToNator managed to win the opening skirmishes in a lot of them, and that comes a lot down to their team composition. They've got Genji, they've got Tracer, who are going to be able to dodge a lot of abilities from the tanks. Reinhardt's shield is basically going to be nullified against someone who's basically on all sides of you, so they're going to win these skirmishes. But they started losing, and I believe a lot of that was how, not necessarily their ultimate macro, but how they use the ults themselves. They were shut down quite often. I mean, a Nanoblade combo was simply put to sleep. And now, you can put that down to very good play coming up from Keris on the Ana, but it's also something that you need to be aware of when you're using such a resource-intensive combo. That's 1/3 of your team's ultimates, and you're banking on it to win that team fight. If it just gets slept straight away, you're going to lose the fight. So you need to be aware of that. You need to keep eyes exactly where the enemy Ana player is. Make sure that no sleep dart's going to happen. If it involves getting Yoshiharu to follow you, holding that defense matrix up to block any sleep darts, then that's what you need to do. And that wasn't done by DeToNator.
I mean, it was quite hard as well when you're coming up against a team like AHQ. I wouldn't say they're, you know, they're perfect. There was, again, on Shrine, you know, they had that little bit of a misplay there where they committed a few, like, you know, they lost the player very early into that one, and then they committed a few ultimates when they didn't need to, and obviously got pushed off, and that was when you saw DeToNator get really aggressive right up in their faces. But the answer back from AHQ, how aggressive they got with them right at the start from the next map, and I mean, they just continued that intensity on afterwards. I really feel that, you know, if DeToNator can really fire themselves up and really, I guess, explode, you know, right at the start, we sort of talked about this just before when they had their matchup against Fireball, they can open really well, but they have, I guess, an issue closing out. It was almost the reverse in this, is where I felt that they were losing a lot of these early fights. They weren't being able to establish themselves, and then managing to somehow, I'm going to use the term swindle again, managing to swindle the point away from AHQ, or swindle some of these fights away. I think AHQ getting a little bit too big for their boots, you know, a little bit overconfident, trying to sort of go hero mode there, and that's when DeToNator were making them pay. So if they can sort of bait AHQ in, that's where their strength lies, and it's going to be DeToNator picking King's Row.
And it's obvious why, right? Because any other hybrid map, you're going to see crappy on that Torbjorn. I think we're yet to see a Torbjorn on King's Row. I don't think it's a very strong pick. Some teams might run it as a bit of a niche pick. We have seen AHQ on King's Row before, though, and I don't believe they've ever picked Torbjorn on it. So it'd be a surprise to come out here, especially when, like you said, Anakin is one of those Starfara players, can definitely deal with the turrets very easily. We also see DeToNator are comfortable running something like a Widowmaker, another answer to Torbjorn as well, getting those picks early on, also nullifying Torbjorn's armor advantage, which will start to get rolling if you don't take it out on the first push. The easiest way to do that is getting a pick straight at the start of the game. But also falling back to Widowmaker just to snipe out the turret, especially on King's Row. So it's not really going to be something that AHQ are going to bring out, because I think that DeToNator have all the tools to deal with it. So instead, they've been forced into this map where they can't run crappy on Torbjorn.
Well, it's one thing we sort of talked about as well, is that Anakin's Pharah's sort of fallen behind the game a little bit. You know, looked really strong in weekend number 1, but now it's, I guess, you know, it's not as good as we once thought it was.
The teams are more able to answer.
There are a couple of spots here I could see the Torbjorn turret being utilized in, but I think there's just too many routes that that can be taken, you know, when it comes to, you know, the King's Row. You know, you can easily get around and flank the map, and flank the turret.
So, I mean, what I expect both teams to do is almost run identical team compositions. Someone might run a Roadhog or McCree instead of a Soldier on the defense, but it's basically, you're going to see Winston, you're going to see D.Va.
You expect both teams to play like dive, counter
exactly,
dive.
very, very dive heavy. There may be a Zenyatta mixed into one of these teams, particularly on the offense. But
I see AHQ doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Now, DeToNator, what I don't want to see, and I said this at the start of the series, at the start of game 1, is I don't want to see them throw themselves at the first point, lose a few fights, and then say, look, this isn't working, let's change it up. And then they lose all of their ultimate advantage, or if they had any at all, and change their composition up, changing half their characters. And then there's basically no way for them to win the fight unless they get a few lucky kills or a few lucky frags, they get a few lucky picks, or maybe Anakin just turns Super Saiyan. It just isn't
It's
something
our
to
levels
rely
over
on.
9,000.
Can you imagine that?
Imagine what, if he went Super Saiyan?
Yeah. Like a Genji literally going Super Saiyan.
Well, I mean, when he gets nano boosted, it's essentially the same thing, isn't it?
I mean, he doesn't have hair, so like, what, would he grow hair?
Maybe if he takes his helmet off. Maybe his hair.
He doesn't have hair under his helmet.
How do you know? Maybe he grew it just like my moustache.
It would get in the way. Like, what use would there be for him to keep his hair under that helmet?
How do you think he gets all the ladies?
Have you seen third-person Genji?
Look at that booty.
Anyway, King's Row.
Getting into the match.
Getting into the match indeed, and I saw a health pack through a wall, which means we've got Anakin on Sombra.
Oh, look at that. Going for that early, obviously, EMP combo here, trying to open this one up extremely quickly. Catch AHQ, why they're going to be caught off guard. Hasn't really let himself be seen just yet. Samurai D looking to get right up in the face of the side of AHQ. But AHQ doing the same thing, going for that gate hold, something we don't usually see teams do, you know. But AHQ looking very confident in this defense.
Yeah, and teams basically running opposite compositions to what I said was going to happen, but it is going to be the Reinhardt battle at the gate here. DeToNator, if they're going to make any changes to the composition, they're going to have to do it early on, just waiting for that health pack to come back up. And look at it, it's working. Like you said, Anakin is now sitting very close to his own ultimate, basically needs one more health pack taken, and there it is, EMP is ready. If DeToNator want to go in, they've got to go in now, get a big EMP, and here it comes.
Boom! And let's see what he can find with this right there. Eric goes down extremely quickly. Dizzy still being uncontested up in the top lines. And they do manage to close in on him. Now it's going to be Anakin all over him. Nanoboo's coming in from Sai Hate there. Samurai D was cleaning up a lot of the front lines. They take down Kalman as well. And this is working out beautifully here for DeToNator. Getting a lot of time here on the point. Kirez going to fall back. DeToNator going to cap this one out.
Anakin enabled so much of that victory. That one EMP shut down Erican immediately. No more Reinhardt barriers. Then he immediately looked on to hack out Cowman. No more shields. And then went up to challenge Dizzy. And now look at this. They're moving in, but they do get hit by an Earth Shatter.
Didn't really find too much with it. They did manage to get a couple here, but they're working off that momentum. And I mean,
Anakin's
that's
still
all
rolling.
they really need right now. Pushing all the way up to checkpoint number 2. Anakin going to be over on the left side as well, looking to hack that health pack there. And Sai Hate actually staying alive.
And Anakin's also their only DPS. Let's not forget, he actually has to get these kills. And
He gets taken down.
He can't do that if he's dead. Trying to be a little bit too sneaky in the backline. Probably got caught hacking a health pack, which is going to be needed here. Very likely we'll see him swap off, though. No, he's going to still stick to that. They're really committed to the Sombra. Denying the health packs can be great later on, but hey, you're still stuck at this gateway here.
And now Dizzy going to be in a great position here to keep harassing the side of DeToNator as they try to push in here. And the ultimates are now coming up from AHQ. They've had a lot of time to stabilize now as well. So things are going to be extremely hard for DeToNator here. It's going to have to be, again, the biggest EMP of Anakin's life if they want a chance of winning this fight.
I mean, hey, you can deny 6 ultimates because that's what AHQ have in the bank. This EMP could go really big. He needs to do it before any ults come out. Now's the time!
The Graviton Surge, though, comes in from the side of AHQ, and it cleans them up indeed. That EMP did not get used at all there. Good stuff to not actually commit that one to that. And now DeToNator going to give themselves another chance in this next fight.
An EMP would have been too late anyway. You already had Erican standing at the face of that Graviton Surge. Doesn't matter if he can't hear anything being hacked, he can still swing his hammer, and he got all the damage done from that. And also, they've still got so many ults to work with. Anakin, once more, has to find an incredible EMP. But this time, I believe AHQ are just totally ready for it. Look at how split up they are. They're up in the high ground. They're up way in the background.
Opens this one up. A great counter sound barrier there coming out from the side of AHQ. They do manage to find that kill onto Eric, but now there's this nano visor coming in from Dizzy up in the back lines. Good stuff there from Yoshi to jump straight on top of him to stop this from coming through. He's going to have to commit the self-destruct up there. Not going to find anything at all with that one. Manages to obviously get himself back into the fray as well. And now DeToNator obviously committing a lot to this fight, but not really finding too much with it. AHQ should be able to get themselves back in and stabilize off this.
The trades ended up being a little bit even, maybe even a little bit in favor of AHQ at the start of that, but because DeToNator respawned so much closer, they were able to reinforce their team, and also the denial of positioning for Dizzy coming out from that self-destruct forced them off the high ground and basically took them out of the fight, evening things up, and then DeToNator came back in with the numbers to bring it up in their favor. Now they've managed to start moving the payload. AHQ will get one more fight off of this. Graviton is going to be needed to be used here just to build up the ult for the rest of their team.
Well, let's see how hungry Yoshiharu is, and can he eat it? Eric looking hungry as well to land this Earth Shatter. Yoshiharu actually jumps straight up on the top lines. There comes an Earth Shatter there from Samurai D, picking 2 up, and this is exactly what DeToNator were looking for. Earth Shatter explodes
oh no, it's in the doorway!
Way on, and what a self-destruct there coming in from Lazy Titan. Karez picking up another one there as well, and AHQ not even worried about that start there from DeToNator. Huge play there coming up from Lazy Titan. Yoshi getting a little bit too hungry up on the top level there. He's going to be the last one to fall.
Oh my god, is he going to get put to sleep? Yeah, there it is.
Oh my goodness, look at this. The taunts are coming in as well. I mean, AHQ, great play here to just sort of... Oh, they're still staggering out. They're trying to block him from jumping off the edge. They're still doing it. Great stuff there from AHQ to stagger this kill out there onto Yoshiharu as well. I think his play was a little bit too aggressive. Now Anakin just trying to build a little bit of this Dragon Blade up.
So obviously we all saw it. The biggest play there was Lazy Titan with that pinpoint accuracy landing the mech literally on the corner of that doorway where so many members of DeToNator were hiding. It just took them all out, and despite a good Earth Shatter, they managed to lose the fight there. AHQ, they're sitting nice and safe there. They've got good ultimate combos. They're getting picks at the start of every single fight here. DeToNator, they're struggling to get into position. They've got to run so far back to actually get to this payload and get in position.
Yeah, with a minute 20 left here, DeToNator need to find something soon. Anakin looking to build his Dragon Blade, but still only 30%. Needs to get this one up as soon as possible. Yoshiharu gonna have a self-destruct, see if he can find the same sort of success that his counterpart
Here
had
it comes.
there. And there comes an Earth Shatter, picks up 3 of them there from Eric. He's got the Nano Boost as well, flexing all over the side of DeToNator right now. And without committing too much there, just the 2 ultimates, they push back DeToNator yet again, looking to get extremely aggressive. 50 seconds on the clock here. Still got the Graviton Surge and the Tac Visor as well, and that Sound Barrier. What can DeToNator do to answer the call?
Despite losing a little bit of time, they did force out an ultimate or 2 from AHQ. So DeToNator have the best chance to go into a fight right now, but look at what AHQ still have. They've got Graviton. They've also got Dizzy and his tactical visor that's going to shut down anyone flanking, anyone trying to rush to the point, which is exactly what DeToNator need to do at this point.
Oh, look at that positioning there from Kalman. They all jump over.
No
Great
way!
Graviton Surge coming through there, picking up 5 in there. The Biotic Grenade as well, the self-destruct coming on top, taking down De La V. Samurai D actually getting away just in the nick of time, but Lazy Titan will be there to clean him up. Anakin looking for that hero play with the Dragon Blade and the Nano Boost up in the back lines. Only finds 1 though, definitely not enough mileage out of that one there. And now the rest of DeToNator are looking frantic to get themselves in this point. We're going to be pushed into overtime right now. Anakin looking to go in here, looking for that big hero play, but he's taken out as well. And the rest of AHQ cleaning this one up. Yoshiharu, going to be all hopes on him to stagger this one out. He doesn't look like he can do too much with this. Mick goes down here as well. He should be falling after this one. And De La V now
big Earth Shatter.
coming in, looking to find some kills there, trying to get himself onto Kalman, but doesn't manage to get the kill there at all. DeToNator do manage to get themselves back onto the point. Good respawns here.
Yoshiharu is trying to keep his team alive, but now that he goes down, this should be an easy cleanup right now for AHQ. They in fact just throw the Lucio off the point and hold it there right before the end of the second checkpoint. Not the best push we've seen on Kings Row. Quite often, teams will get it all the way to the very end. And while DeToNator, they couldn't even do that much. It looked good on the first point. That EMP was a great plan and they executed it perfectly. But once AHQ noticed what was going on, they immediately adapted. Not just their hero composition, but where they were standing. How can you EMP everyone if they're on all sides of the map?
Yeah, I guess, you know, doing that to AHQ right at the start, as you'd expect, you know, you sort of catch them off guard with the EMP combo. You know, AHQ will also be very aggressive, you know, stacking up a little bit too much. We've seen teams, you know, really try to space themselves out, you know, let teams almost push in and get on top of the point, and then you usually got your soldier up on the high ground there. You know, a lot of the team is sort of being pushed back into that hotel corner as well, and you sort of attack them from all different angles there. AHQ may be getting a little bit too ahead of themselves, but once they worked out about that, you know, the Sombra combo there, I think that was the downfall there for DeToNator, sticking on Sombra for just that little bit too long.
And once more as well, it's not so much that DeToNator are using their ult macro wrong. It's more like they're executing their ultimates themselves not as efficiently as they could be. Big Earth Shatter, there's no follow-up. I mean, a lot of that to do was because Lazy Titan got a triple kill with his self-destruct, landing it just on the corner of that little doorway there, taking out half the team from DeToNator. But at the same time, when you can't follow up on your ults like that, then you're essentially wasting them there. And even though your ult macro could have been better than the enemy teams, you're still not getting the results that you want from them. And it actually makes it even easier for AHQ to out macro you.
Well, DeToNator going to have to come up with a very big first point hold if they want to hold on to this one. AHQ don't have much, don't have to push it too far, only have to get it themselves just close. Not even they don't even have to get checkpoint 2, they just have to get it just around that corner, and they'll be able to take map number 2 against DeToNator here.
Essentially, they've got to win 2 fights. First point, and then the first fight during the payload phase. Now look at what they're running here. There's actually a Widowmaker on attack, so it's really going to be all about those picks, because AHQ, I think they've got the time. They can actually just wait this out and wait for a pick, then go in. They're not going to go for anything fancy like a Sombra strategy. Both teams are going to run that Reinhardt at the choke, but they've been forced back onto the point itself. They're not going to have that advantage and being forced back there.
Oh, good sleep out there. And it's actually going to be Kalman switching over to the Zarya, going for that triple tank setup, doing exactly what happened to them there, minus the Sombra. Anakin finding that first kill onto Crappy. They should be able to hold off the back of this kill onto the Lucio if they can push out the rest of these AHQ players, and indeed they do. Amakin cleaning up right here, finds a Helix Rocket onto Eric's back there, takes down the Mecha Lazy Titan as well. So that one's going to delay this next fight here for the side of AHQ for some time right now.
And DeToNator will hold, and this is a better hold than AHQ did on the first point, so that's at least a good start. But I definitely reckon that AHQ have got DeToNator's number right now. They're slowly building up their ultimates. In fact, look at how much they built up during that fight. So even though they lost, they got a lot of damage done, and they're ready to come out.
Dizzy!
Oh, Dizzy though.
And this is where AHQ are going to make their move right now. Dizzy managing to get control of that high ground. Earthshatter comes in right there, picking up a few of them. Nano Boost as well, and Dizzy just raining death from the high ground as well. AHQ going to be able to pick up the first cap cleanly and surely.
And Dizzy didn't even have to use his tactical visor there. Getting that kill onto Amakin right at the start was absolutely crucial because it denied them the nano visor combo. They weren't able to use that in the defense there. They were basically stuck with the option of throwing a nano boost onto their own Reinhardt. They decided it was safer to not do that simply because he got charged and killed at the start of that fight. So instead, now they're going to have to try and defend at the very start of this checkpoint. Essentially, they lose 2 team fights here. They're donezo. They lose this map.
Well, frantic offense here from AHQ. Their Graviton Surge as well. Good Biotic Grenade to keep everyone alive through that one, but the counter Biotic Grenade coming through there from AHQ. Can they manage to clean this one up? And indeed, 2 kills apiece here, but it looks like this one's coming out in the way of AHQ. Dizzy still in the great position up on the high ground, remaining moderately uncontested. Takes down Yoshi there as well. Looking to find himself a Reinhardt. Will find him there too. Now going for the next part of the high ground, looking to pick himself up another kill here. Oh, that Helix Rocket almost finding its mark right there. They should be able to pick that kill up with the Reinhardt blocking the way, and should have free time to push this cart all the way up right now.
Gotta be careful here. Amakin actually swapping over onto the Genji once more. DeToNator trying to swap things up in the middle of a match. This payload is inching towards the checkpoint. They only need to win one more fight, but AHQ, hey, look, they've lost a few fights, but they've still got ults to go with. Dizzy hasn't used his tactical visor at all. This is one more fight they need to go through. Get Yoshiharu out of that mech. In fact, there's actually De La V, then throw out the tac visor.
Well, self-destruct and the tac visor coming through as well. Yoshiharu threw out the Graviton Surge, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough when De La V finds 2 with his self-destruct, but is it enough? It doesn't look like it is at all. AHQ just wiping this one up, pushing the cart extremely quickly, and with no time wasted at all, they pick themselves up. Kings Row currently leading the series 2-0. AHQ looking strong.
Now, 1 game away from losing 2 back-to-back best of 5s. DeToNator are really in a tough spot here. They've got to pull out a reverse sweep if they have any hopes of taking this series, but that just looked like a completely different team on Kings Row there, struggling to find any value at all after that first phase. Yeah, sure, they got a great Sombra ultimate. It looked
this
incredible.
has got to be the triple.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the positioning of where the mech lands, and notice that 3 people were hiding just to the left of that.
Oh my
Hopefully he
God.
looks at it. No, we don't see it, but it literally landed in the doorway, like literally on the corner there. And I don't think any of the attackers expected it to land it.
It's like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called. You know, like cool guys don't look at explosions.
Yeah, that's basically it.
You know, like just throws it away, looks away.
Well,
no stress.
Too busy taking a selfie like the highlight intro.
I mean, actually, was in the perfect situation for that.
Yeah.
Tweet it out.
I mean, I love the animations that show what that would have been like pre-buff.
Oh, did you see the bug fix as well for that?
What was the bug fix?
So supposedly in that animation, the hair didn't move.
What? But it's like.
It's supposedly, you know, that's a big priority, you know,
It is.
for Blizzard. You know, if the hair's not moving correctly in that one, you know, we better bug fix that one. I
But
remember.
they still haven't fixed the Torbjorn turrets on moving platforms.
Don't worry about that. The hair's not moving on Diva's highlight reel play.
Come on. It's like my favorite part of Torbjorn, just having basically a moving turret. But in any case, that was a big ultimate. And honestly, I feel like DeToNator were proving to be pretty good on attack.
My moustache is falling off.
Look, it's all right, but DeToNator, they looked good. And in fact, we're actually looking good to win that fight there, but that ultimate alone just saved the game for AHQ. It could have gone into the 3rd checkpoint, but honestly, even if it did, the way AHQ were playing on attack, I definitely reckon that they would have taken it all the way to the end of the 3rd checkpoint with a good amount left in the time bank. And so even if DeToNator did win there, they would have struggled, did get into the 3rd checkpoint, they would have struggled to get it all the way to the end. And even if they did, it would have been with a much smaller time bank than what AHQ would have got if they could have, you know, if they didn't just win the map there.
I mean, this is what it really comes down to, I feel, is it's just the depth that, you know, DeToNator, I mean, this doesn't really make sense, but the depth that DeToNator don't have. It's like a little tongue twister.
The shallowness of DeToNator.
Little tongue twister for you there. The depth that DeToNator don't have.
We'll do that in the vocal warm-ups tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But
well, the thing is that, you know, that first sort of strat for them with Sombra, it did work, and it worked out well for them. And then obviously I think they committed a little bit too much to that. weren't really able to adapt, to the situation. They had the advantage, I'd say, at that point. They could have really adapted to what AHQ were running with. They could have seen that and been like, okay, let's go for Pharaoh here. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever it might be. But instead they don't. They stay on the Sombra for a little bit too long. They allow AHQ to obviously build up a few ultimates, and then obviously just work off the back of their own defensive momentum. The other thing as well is that when they go for that positioning and they go for that EMP, and he goes to drop it on the 2 tanks, I mean, maybe the read from DeToNator is that there is, 2 ultimates sitting there on the 2 tank players, but they missed the Lucio.
Exactly.
And then that was the one big thing that lost in that fight there, is that the second that EMP came in, they couldn't even take the 2 tanks down because the sound barrier comes in straight away. So I feel if DeToNator had a little bit of a better read there, the Sombra still could have worked out for them. But again, just looking like they're just a little bit behind AHQ in terms of, pure hero depth.
Although, one thing I've got to give credit to them is that they weren't fully swapping their team compositions in the middle of that match. They were changing one
Well, they needed to, though.
Well,
they
did need to, but they weren't completely changing it like we've seen them do before.
True.
They were changing one hero here and there. They were changing the Sombra to something else. They were changing Anakin off of Soldier onto a Genji. The one hero changes are enough of a change to your team composition, but not so much of an ultimate disadvantage to completely changing things unless you absolutely have to. So it's better that they're doing that and recognizing things and getting better team compositions off from the start. I've got to give them credit to that. The Sombra pick, like you said, even though it didn't work out quite as well during the payload phase, it worked out fantastically on the first point, on the assault phase. It completely denied the Reinhardt shield. They read what composition HQ were going to run on defense, obviously watching some of the matches on King's Row before. And one of the best ways to shut down a Reinhardt and even a Zarya is to get them silenced, get them hacked with the EMP. So it worked out fantastically. But again, as soon as AHQ recognized what was going on, they split up. And that allowed something like a sound barrier to come out during an EMP.
The other thing as well is, especially on their offense there, Dizzy, what an absolute player. You know what I mean? AHQ creating such a I guess, a kerfuffle, a ruckus on their first attack there, allowing Dizzy to sort of get into the side hotel area, push his way up into the high ground. And Anakin, picks up a couple of kills, on the tanks down on the low ground there, but doesn't really realize that Dizzy's managed to swindle his way in behind as well. And Dizzy goes all the way around the back and actually gets total control of the high ground there. Once Anakin realizes Dizzy's completely ready for him,
He already killed him.
wins that soldier versus soldier battle, and now the high ground is Dizzy's, and Dizzy wins that first fight for them, the second fight for them, and I would say all the way up until probably that third fight where the self-destruct came through.
I mean, Dizzy didn't even have to use his tactical visor until the very last fight. He was holding onto that for the longest time, and that pretty much shows why AHQ have won so many of their maps so far against DeToNator. It's just they're executing their ults better. They're recognizing the situations where they can save them, where they can use them, actually get value out of them. It's not very often that they'll throw out an ult and it won't work. I mean, I think the only time that actually happened was during Nepal when, going back to it, Anakin went Super Saiyan and just killed everyone with his ult, and then a nano burst without his ult. Basically the longest fight I've ever seen, basically a Genji just killing everyone on his own. But apart from that, AHQ have been very on point with their ultimates in terms of both execution and when they need to save them. DeToNator leave a little bit to be desired, more on the execution
They need
side
themselves
of
a hyperbolic time chamber at this point, I feel.
Exactly right, or at least someone needs to die on their team in game to trigger someone to go Super Saiyan, like in the series.
Well, we are going to hit the hyperbolic time chamber very briefly and see if DeToNator can come back from this being 2 down against AHQ Esports clubs after the break. Championship English broadcast. I'm Dallas Easy Fighter. Joining me here, none other than Matt Smite Ross and our illustrious and beautiful ginger moustaches.
The new additions to the broadcast as well. We're not just the casters here. We've got the moustaches doing a lot of the work for us as well.
They pretty much make us better.
Yeah,
yeah.
It channels, like you said before, channels our inner pixie. Make sure that we bring the hype to the games, to the series. And, well, if someone needs to bring the hype, it's DeToNator right now, because otherwise we're going to have a 3-0 on our hands with AHQ already taking the series 2-0 so far.
I mean, on Control, we've seen DeToNator come through with, they've shown a lot of strength, when it comes to Control. They know how to sort of play the style of map. But when it comes to these sort of structured, hybrid maps or assault maps, they're just not really able to sort of adapt enough on the fly. It looks like they don't have a deep enough hero pool, or they don't really have a full understanding of the way the current metagame's going.
I mean, essentially what
I should say, control of the ultimates, rather.
Yeah.
I didn't mean metagame. I apologize.
Yes. So what
it's obviously not made me better.
What it does actually come down to is, I've said it quite a few times, is that when they execute their ultimates during the fights, when they're trying to leverage their ultimate advantage, sometimes it's just not being followed up on. It's not working. They're not getting the value out of them. For example, one sleep dart shutting down Nano Boost and Dragon Blade in the same action, taking it completely out of the fight, and then suddenly the opposing team's on the ultimate advantage side of the game, and that's very hard to come back from. The one thing I do have to say about DeToNator is that they are good at coming back from the back foot. We saw it against Fireball. Quite often, they would be losing some of the earlier engagements and then coming back. This is during control, and it also happened against AHQ in the first match of this series when they did win a match. Actually, they were behind for quite a lot of the fight. However, it seems like they're not fantastic. They're not up to par against some of these other teams in terms of stabilizing and defending on a point, on control, and also on hybrid, as we just saw, struggled to defend first point and just could not get their feet back on the ground during the payload. Not once did they stop AHQ, but as we move on to Hanamura, which is going to be the pick of AHQ, you're going to have to really work on getting your feet planted on these points and not losing these team fights. Didn't go fantastically for them against Fireball. How is it going to go for them against AHQ?
Well, AHQ have shown us their strength on Hanamura before. This is where we're going to see it. So, crappy Torbjorn, and his positioning on this, he almost single-handedly won AHQ. I'm trying to think now, actually, who the last team was they played against this.
Was it Blank?
Was it Blank?
AHQ did take a game off Blank.
It was against Blank. Yeah. And it was purely coming down to Sharp. You're so sharp.
Always keep an eye on my boys Blank.
Got to be the moustache.
Yeah.
It was purely down to his positioning on the Torbjorn there that really sort of pushed them over the edge. They really didn't know how to deal with it. If it was Blank, I'm pretty sure you are right. I'm like 99% sure it was. They really couldn't deal with his constant repositioning of the turret. And he's done it on so many other maps as well before. So this is where we're really going to see how DeToNator can deal with this.
Another reason that Blank seemed to struggle against AHQ on Hanamura when they were attacking was similar to how DeToNator played. They were trying to change up things that didn't necessarily need to be changed or just were changes for the wrong reasons. So I believe during the interview, the question was asked why they swapped onto Reaper, and it was the answer was literally to break the May wall, break that middle column. And yes, that does happen, but you're then turning...
No, me and Kevin, me and Avril.
Avril and I.
Welcome to the Overwatch English, teaching you how to teach English and speak English and how to not talk like a noob like myself. We talked about how he was picked to teleport up there and get I'm shocking.
Continue.
He was going to teleport up there and get Zonda. That's obviously the big troll, the spicy meme right there.
The spicy meme indeed, but it comes back to again something that DeToNator struggle a little bit on, where they do change things up sometimes when they don't have to be, or when changing up at that point in the game is just going to flat out lose you the match from the momentum that you're going to lose by losing all of that ultimate charge when a team is already entrenched on the point. Usually the defending team does have a good ultimate advantage. The only time that they don't is going to be between going from point A to point B. When you've taken that first point, you've obviously won a fight to get to that point, and you should have an ultimate advantage there, and you need to leverage that to get the point, because that's the easiest time that you're going to have capturing the second point on assault. And if you don't leverage that, then it's going to be very difficult to take it later on. And if DeToNator can't manage to do that, then I really don't see them taking second point at all, because simply, I feel like they're just going to start swapping things up, or when they try to leverage an ultimate advantage, it won't be executed properly. And that's also going to be the key thing, is when they do go to the second point using their ultimate advantage, they need to actually execute these ults properly. Make sure your Genji with the Dragon Blade and the Nano Boost isn't just put to sleep immediately.
Well, if you are just joining us, this is AHQ Esports Club coming up against DeToNator.GOLD. AHQ currently leading 2-0. We're going to be getting into Hanamura. AHQ are the home team, so this is their pick. They will obviously pick their side as well. I personally will be very, very impressed if DeToNator.GOLD can break through the first point.
I do think they will break through the first point. Whoa, okay, look. In an assault style, on that hybrid map, on King's Row, they did take that first point. True. It's a very different story. Hanamura first point is a little bit more easy to actually defend. You've got a better choke point to work with, but any small advantage you can get during that, any small kill, that's a big run back for the defending team. And because AHQ very likely to run that Tourbillon again, I don't expect to see a Symmetra as well on the defense. If we do, that's another story. But it means they're not going to have a teleporter. So these run backs are going to be very, very long.
Well, it is indeed going to be none other than the man himself, Mr. Tourbillon, MC Crappy, on that one.
But it's my boy Anakin on that Sombra, and this is going to be all about it. And look at this turret placement. That's perfect for Anakin to utilize. I mean, the turret's already gone, unfortunately, but what they can do here is move out, take some damage from the turret, go back, heal up with the Sombra health packs, and suddenly you've got the fastest EMP in the world.
Well, I mean, the saying comes to mind here, you know, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you, and right there, is that the way it goes? Fool me once? I don't even know if I just said the saying right.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because you should learn from your mistakes, and that's what AHQ have done.
And they've I've made a huge mistake there. I've ruined my entire joke, but you know what I mean.
So DeToNator have changed up their composition. They're saying, Sombra, look, it's not going to work. This is the time to do it, and with only one hero as well. Now, they've noticed that Crappy is on that Tourbillon. Pharah is a great answer to that. They just need to take up the turret and move in. But the key is to do it soon, because otherwise these armor packs are going to stack up. But Dizzy is just dueling Anakin out of the sky.
Well, if they are just trying to take out the turret, they've still got to deal with Old Man 76 here, just wiping the front courtyard up here, doing so much work. And there comes Crappy's turret, just to clean up a couple more there. Crappy making De La Vie feel the damage of the flat cannon as well. And AHQ stabilizing very well onto this point. 2% though, DeToNator did gain from that.
And this is where the defense really starts to get entrenched. I mean, not only do you have the advantage of you've been winning fights, so you have more ultimate advantage, but also Tourbillon is throwing armor out left, right, and center. Suddenly these targets are going to be harder to take down. You've got DeToNator still swapping up their team composition, losing more ultimate advantage. Yes, it's a better answer to have De La Vie also on the soldier, but hey, are they going to survive this? Oh no.
Not when there's a Diva Bomb right out the front door. Lazy Titan finding Anakin before they even get themselves past the choke here. And DeToNator finding the first point a bit of a struggle coming into this one. 2 minutes left, still have a lot of time to work with. Should probably be trying to build up for, I guess, the, you know, a lot of ultimates in the bank there, at least 4 or 5, I'd say, before they try to push it onto this one. But the longer they wait here, AHQ just building up their own there. Dizzy now got that tech visor as well. Eric finds Anakin there with a fire strike in the sky. Well, not in the sky there, but it was definitely the airborne fire strike, just swatting him out of that one. And the rest of AHQ just wiping these last few DeToNator players up here. They need to change something up.
Look at their team composition as well. We keep talking about the Tourbillon and the turret and how effective it is, but Old Man 76, you did mention him before. He's now up on this roof demanding attention, having armor packs thrown up to keep him alive. And that's going to be important because DeToNator don't have anyone to deal with him. The best they've got is Yoshiharu flying up there and just to knock him off. That's all they've got. They don't have anything like a Genji or a Winston throw.
But the Graviton Surge from Kalman there, looking to just commit this one ultimate here for the side of AHQ and looking to wipe them out. And indeed they are, finding 3 for themselves. They're getting a mech for the side of DeToNator, but that's not going to win you a fight there. As AHQ pushing out the choke point as well, looking to punish DeToNator right now.
And I talked about the long respawns for the first point here. It doesn't matter if none of your team members die literally once. And now look at this, AHQ off the back of that Graviton Surge. They're building up the rest of their ultimates. Crappy has had his ultimate for the entire game, I'm pretty sure. And now, honestly, Dizzy still not being answered. 45 seconds to go for DeToNator. They've got time to position themselves, get them ready, but they're still on the back foot in terms of ultimates. They've still got to run past a molten coring Tourbillon turret. And they've got to do it quickly because time is starting to run out.
I mean, if Anakin had gone with Zarya from the start of this, I think they might have had a better chance here. Biotic Grenade going to have to be used. Counter Biotic Grenade into the Earth Shatter there as well. Eric taking down his counterpart Reinhardt. The tactical visor coming up from Dizzy in the backlines as well. Eric just swinging for days in this house as well. And it looks like DeToNator just going to be wiped out completely here. 15 seconds left. What can they find? It doesn't look like much. Will they even be able to keep this into overtime? They're going to have to sprint themselves back to the point. But look at all those ultimates on the side of AHQ.
I mean, they're swapping the things like Tracer just to get to the point, just to keep themselves in overtime. They can buy a few more percentage points on the point itself, and they got like 0.7 added onto their total, which is basically the best that they're going to hope to get. Like you said, too many ultimates on the side of AHQ.
And boom, Lazy Titan yet again picking himself up another one there. Crappy with a little bit of the Dwarf Master. Indeed, it's the boosted Tourbillon to finish this one off, and AHQ hold it down at point number 1. Let's see how they answer this.
So I want to talk about the changes that have recently been made to assault maps, where there are no more draws. It's now worked on the percentage system. Attacking second brings certain advantages because now you have the options placed in front of you.
of you can play some of that cheeky little flank, someone like a Tracer or a Genji, even a Sombra getting into the backline, slowly capping the point. Because now, DeToNator are forced into a position where they really can't leave the point. Because
Well, you have to win by 33%.
No, you don't.
Is that not implemented yet?
I don't believe it's implemented yet, but in any case,
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's live now, but I know that's the change.
the plan?
That's the change they're going to make there. I'm pretty sure it's live. Pretty sure it's live.
We'll see during the game, but in any case, it's still the same thing. They can't really leave the point because any percentage that does get racked up is going to be a threat to them straight up losing. They're going to have to turn their backs on the choke point, which is such a big advantage that the defenders usually have. They're not going to have that now because they're constantly going to have to be worried about it. But at the same time, this is the first point on an assault map, very commonly actually taken by a lot of teams here. Even at the very top of the table, Blank versus Flash Wolves, Blank versus AHQ as well. Both teams took that first point. AHQ should surely be taking this first point, no problem, whether it's with some cheeky flanking or whether they just brute force themselves right through that gateway.
Because I mean, there's nothing more rage-inducing, you know, when you just need to touch the point and the sneaky Sombra just runs past you and hits you with the old translocate, hello, and we won the game.
It was much worse when there was a bug where if you got into overtime, you didn't get a chance at attacking the point second during time bank. But the other team did if they had any time left. If they literally touch the point, they win.
Well, nothing beats.
That doesn't happen now.
Nothing beats the original days of the coin flip.
Coin flip, don't remind me.
But let's see who is going to win this one. It's going to take more than the flip of a coin to get the first point here. Hold for DeToNator.
Now, Crappy should just be going for the Sonic Arrow. Yeah, there it is. They're going to have to wait for him to come back in, but, you know, Lucio changes make him a very fast person. But look at this, DeToNator can walk through. I mean, HQ can walk through because DeToNator have to sit on the point. They can't afford to move away from it. So AHQ have just gotten past the hardest part for the offense to get through. They should be looking for a very quick win here.
Yeah, AHQ getting control of these high ground balconies as well, so that's going to work out very well for their favor. DeLaV almost dropping down there as well. They do manage to find that kill onto Dizzy, and that's exactly what they need to hold onto this one. They now need to move in without Dizzy there giving that damage that AHQ definitely require. But it looks like they won't push in as well. They're going to give Dizzy time to get back and help out the rest of his team there. And Anakin still being pressured out here by Lazy Titans. Definitely got eyes on him here. And now Anakin makes his way up, trying to get into this fight here. But Dizzy should be making his way back any second now.
The answer for AHQ is definitely to find where Saihate is and take him out of the fight. Because he's the one healing these three tanks up, take him out. And then Dodolov is not going to be able to heal the triple tank composition up, even with Lucio's increased healing.
And now look at this, AHQ pushing themselves onto the point and pushing DeToNator slowly back.
Watch
Not
this.
getting any percentage yet, but look at Dizzy just getting a lot of free time here. Sound barrier going to have to be used here from the side of DeToNator, but Samurai D does fall down there. They do manage to pick themselves up. Eric as well, looking to find some with a Deadeye here, but good counterplay there coming out from the side of DeToNator, not managing to get anything with that. Lazy Titan, the self-destruct master, picking himself up a kill there onto DeLaV as well. And it's going to be Anakin holding hope there, but AHQ kept the first point, and that's going to be that.
And honestly, that all comes back to the fact that being the second team to defend means that if you don't do very well on your round of offense, you have to sit on the point. You can't allow the team to get any percentage points at all, any progress. Otherwise, you risk just losing the game with your attention drawn towards the choke point. So instead, all AHQ had to do was go through the hardest part to get through his offense.
Oh, Lazy Titan.
Literally walking through it, and then getting a high ground advantage against the defending team.
Give me play of the game, give me play of the game, give me play of the game. Look at him. What a beast.
I mean, he got it, I guess.
I mean, that's what started the entire
there
fight
it is.
off.
That's
the little boopy off the edge there.
That's what got him play of the game.
Boopy off the edge there. Welcome to the PG-13 stream where I use children's words to describe the boopy boopy.
I'm going to start using it from now on, but honestly, gotta say, it's just the expected result. It's got to be quite crushing for DeToNator. 2 best-of-5 series in a row that you've now lost. The only team that's actually happened to is also Sun Sister, the other Japanese team. And as a region, it's just looking very dire right now for Japan. I mean, yes, this is a very long championship. They've still got, I think, 10 more weeks at this stage. We're not even through the first round of the round robin. So they do have a chance to come back. I mean, they're definitely not out of it by any means, but something has to change.
I mean, they definitely need to maybe talk to some of the other teams around there. I mean, now that we're on this topic of this, it is a little bit savage of us, but I mean, the results speak for themselves.
Exactly.
There, you know, both of these teams still sitting on 0 wins. They do come up against each other tomorrow, I believe it is. So one of these teams is going to pick themselves up a win.
Someone has to win.
Someone has to win tomorrow.
Which is, I mean, good. It's also going to be a very hyped up match because in the intro to the Sun Sister team, I can't remember who it was specifically, but one of the players has a friend on DeToNator, and so they've got a little bit of a rivalry going. He says he specifically wants to beat DeToNator. Obviously, they won't want first place, but if he can beat DeToNator, he'll be pretty happy. So definitely hyping up that matchup tomorrow, not just for the first win for one of these teams, but for that little rivalry as well.
I mean, I want to see them get a win just so we can hear them in the interview as well. It's something that we haven't yet to see.
Yeah.
And I mean, something interesting to, I guess, maybe to talk about why we're coming off the back of that, because I mean, AHQ, showed us, I guess, a lot of strength there. It's something we've seen, in the last few weeks. They've had a lot of tight series which they have lost, and a few dominating performances there as well. They are looking a lot more polished in regards to these compositions that they're running. I mean, Lazy Titan, an absolutely standout player on the Diva today. Amazing positioning with his self-destructs there. I mean, the rate at which he's constantly not only just throwing self-destruct for position, but also to actually get himself kills, to counter out, I guess, maybe a push coming in from DeToNator in this series. Amazing stuff from him. It's just, I want to hear, I guess, what DeToNator are doing to practice, because we know, teams like Blank, they play on Korean servers. I think it's Zonda as well. I think when I watch his stream, I think he only plays on Korean servers.
Well, they're also now in a live environment. All these teams are in Taiwan right now, so you can scrim against all of these teams in the downtime. Definitely once the weekend is over, expect these teams to be scrimming against each other quite often. And that's going to be the majority of their practice going down, because I mean, you've got the best teams in the Pacific region here. Why not use your time scrimming against them? There's no reason now for you to go into the competitive play on the live client when you can just play custom games against these teams that are, like I said, the best in the region are all in this one area right now. So this is definitely the best way for them to practice, because there's also the teams that they're going to be playing. You're going to be able to learn from the teams that you will be playing up against in the coming weeks. And so you can learn certain things. And the trick as well, this is getting down to the very nitty gritty of like how to actually scrim, but you also don't want to be giving away things as well. So things like that Sombra pick is something a little bit risky to run in scrims because it gives away a bit of information. But
I mean, I think teams at this point now have sort of worked out that sort of, that little cheesy sort of Sombra pick, at the start, go for that early EMP, when they first fight and really push yourselves.
Apparently AHQ haven't. I mean, they got shut down by it on the first point there.
I mean, it definitely still works, but once you get it, you see it for the first time, or once you lose that first fight to it, after that, you're really obviously ready for it. I don't think there's been many times where we've seen Sombra really, I guess, played throughout the entire map. It's more of like,
exactly.
Hello, surprise, and goodbye.
Yeah, it's usually for like a single point. Quite often, the second point of Anubis is where we've seen Sombra the most. But like you said, yeah, just generally not the entire map, and I feel like it was a bit strange that HQ tried to run it the entire way.
Oh, we've got the interview coming up here. Let's see what AHQ have to say.
今天呢，刚刚我们在讨论的时候，我就问聂宝说，聂宝就说，小熊你等下仿谁？我说应该仿 Lazy Titan 吧。他说
Yeah, unfortunately we don't have our resident translator here.
他说，可是他私下明明是一个垃圾话最多的人。
I mean, you've got to be pretty happy coming off the win there from Lazy Titan. Like you said,
我的队友也是这样觉得。好，那我们今天先马上来问一下战术上的事情啦。因为以往队伍选择安娜的时候，其实是由 AD Boss 负责的。那今天为什么会选择让 Carries 来负责呢？
因为他们两个安娜的打法就是风格不同吧，就是想说让 Carries 上来打打看，看会不会好一点。
那你自己觉得有差吗？
我觉得没什么差，因为队友几乎都是，反正就是，我觉得没什么差。
说好的垃圾话，突然变成官腔达人了。
上来要谦虚一点。
上来要谦虚，
南部人要谦虚一点。
好了，第一场比赛在尼泊尔的时候，其实看到你们有一度是靠不住那个 Mancat 的原始的直接掉点，全部的人都被他宰制了。
What ended in our answer during the very first interview?
那时候可能就是没有算到他有大招吧，就是沟通没有做好，然后才掉那波点。
再来是在国王大道的部分。国王大道的时候，我上次看你们打 HKA 的时候，你们在第二段的时候会做牵压，可是那时候是其实直接被 HKA 给反制掉，就你们牵压战术那时候没有执行得很成功。可是
这我们本来平常练习就会这样打，所以
就试试看。那贝克制可能就是个没有处理好的意外而已。
对，就是那一次没有处理好。
是，再来我要问了，刚刚分析台在说你的第一把上 highlight 那个自爆到底是自己算好的，你自己把它丢到门口，还是不小心的？要诚实说哦。
那个看起来就像是算好的。对。那
看起来一点都不像是算好的。
像吗？
不太像哦。
我的队友刚刚就是说我那个就是一个东京甩尾，完全算好了。
真的假的？所以有在制定练吗？ 他们刚刚说有些diva会在制定练习自己丢，
我是没有制定练啦。
对，那就不是算好的。好啦，无论如何，恭喜你们获得今天的胜利。那我们接下来等一下现场要进行清场的部分。那比赛的时候会在7点的时候正式开始，大家可以去吃个晚餐，稍后就回来哟。
So Lazy Titan obviously being a bit of a character there. The second question there was, she asked, "Did you practice the diva bomb?" And he says, "Yeah, I practiced that." And she obviously laughed and doesn't believe him. I mean, I also don't believe it either.
No, it's one of those 100% calculated. He,
Totally,
it's
totally.
literally that meme with all the like calculations around his head. Like he got the trigonometry done. Said like, if I launch the ultimate at this angle, I'll get the mech right on the corner of that little doorway and catch all the cowards hiding inside it. So
The cowards even.
the cowards. I mean, hiding away from battle. Come on, get out there and fight.
Well, I think personally that that was quite amazing if it was practiced. I mean, yes, I obviously have been brushing up on my
Trigonometry?
Well, no, I was going to say my bilingual skills there. You know, have come a long way since my understanding. Thank you in the first week. I'm taking full credit for that one. Thanks, Avril. But yes, next up we're going to have AHQ coming up against Marchi. AHQ going to be feeling quite warm after that one. We are going to take a quick break. Let's see if the test from before works, eh? Pixie, Pixie, Pixie. We'll see you after the break.